property is we need to distribute the coefficient into the parentheses. So this says 2 times 4x plus 2. So you can write it two ways. You can add it because there's a 2, so there's 2 of these. Or you can do this, where you distribute the 2. So in this example, we're going to do this way. So 2 times 4x is 8x. 2 times 2 is 4. These are all positive numbers, so this is your final answer. This is the longer way to do it. Since this is a 2, you would just add 4x plus 2 plus 4x plus 2. Four x plus 4x is 8x, and 2 plus 2 is 4. You get the same answer. The other method, called FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. For the first step, which is first, you do 2x times 3x. Outside would be 2x times 6. Inside would be 1 times 3x, and last would be 1 times 6. Okay, so let's work it out. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times 6 is 12x. 1 times 3x is 3x. And then 1 times 6 is 6. Then you just combine like terms. Since there's two x's, you will combine those. So it would be 6x squared plus 15x plus 6. This is your final answer.
We're going to solve this problem using FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. I already have the arrows drawn. You go first, outside, inside, last. So let's solve. 3x times 2x is 6x squared. And then you go to outside. So 3x times 2 is 6x. And then you go to inside, which is 1 times 2x, which is 2x. And then you go to last, which is 1 and 2. So it's plus 2. So then you combine like terms, which is the x. So you have 6x squared plus 8x plus 2. That would be your final answer.
Okay, so this is another method called the box method. What you do is you multiply these using a box. So this one goes on the top. So you go 3x and 1. And then it's 2x and 2 on this side. You do not add the plus signs or the minus signs or whatever you have in this equation. You just multiply in the box. So then you go 3x times 2x, which is 6x squared in this box. And then you do 2x times 1, which is 2x. And then you do 3x times 2x, which is, 6x. And then you do 2 times 1, which is 2. And then you combine like terms. So you take it over here and it's 6x squared, because there's no other squared numbers, plus 6x plus 2x plus 2. Now you can combine these because they're both x. So you go 6x squared plus 8x plus 2, which is your answer.
If you have a negative number, like this equation right here, you have to follow the rules. A positive times a positive is a positive. A negative times a negative is a positive. A negative times a positive is a negative. And a positive times a negative is a negative. So, let's work out this example. You use FOIL, or distribute. So negative 2x times 3x. So that's a negative times a positive equals a negative. So it's going to be a negative 6x. Then a negative 2 times 4 is a negative times a positive, so it's minus 8. And this is your final answer.
So this is combining like terms in case you missed it. We have 3x squared plus 2x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 1. The 3x squared and 2x squared have something in common. They both contain an x squared. They are like terms. So when you add them, it's 5x squared. Then we go over here and we have 3x and 2x. They are all select terms. They both contain an x. So then you have plus 5x. And then you have a lonely 1 over here without any other like terms. So you just put plus 1. This is your final answer.
Translating expressions is when you take a sentence and put it in an equation. A number would mean any letter as a variable. The sum is adding the variable in n plus 3. N plus 3 is your final answer.
A number increased by 3 is equal to 5. So how you would solve this is a number, which means any variable, any letter, increased, which would mean adding, by 3 is equal to 5. So let's write it out. N plus, because increased is adding, 3 is equal to 5. So if you were to solve it, you would do minus 3, n equals 2. Now, if you were just to write out the equation, this would be your final answer. But if you were to solve, this would be your answer.
This is translating expressions with subtraction. So you have our number, which is n decreased by 2 equals 10. So this would be your answer if you wanted just the equation. But if you want to solve, you would then add 2 to each side, and then n equals 12. So that would be your answer if you were solving. But if you weren't solving and you just needed the equation, this would be your answer.
Adding and subtracting polynomials. So when you add, you get two equations with the plus sign in the middle. 6x squared plus 3y plus 3x plus 16y. So you're going to have to solve this by adding. So what I do is I like to write them out. So I do 6x squared plus 3y, and I put the x squareds and the y's with these equations. So 3x squared plus 16y. This would be 6 plus 3, just add it like normally. 6 plus 3 is 9x squared, plus 16 plus 3 is 19y. And this is your answer. Subtracting polynomials is different. So first what you're going to do is you're going to have to flip the signs in the second equation. So a positive 3x squared would become a negative 3x squared. And a positive 16y would become a negative 16y. Then you just write them out. 6x squared plus 3y, and then a negative 3x squared minus a 16y. Since you flip the signs, you do not subtract it. You add these. So a negative 6x squared minus a 3x squared is a 3x squared. A negative 16y plus a 3y is a negative 13y. And this is your final answer.
So this is dividing polynomials. We've learned adding and subtracting. Now it's time to learn how to divide. So we have 2x plus 4 divided by 2 as our problem. What you do is you just divide regularly. So you have 2 divided by 2 is 1. Since there's only 1 in front of an x, you just leave it by itself. So it's x. And then you go to the 4. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So then you have plus 2. This will be your final answer. Here's another dividing problem. It's a little more tricky. So when you have a number that won't go in to it equally or evenly, then you have to leave it as a fraction. So for example, we have 6x plus 8 divided by 4. The 6 cannot be divided evenly by 4, so you leave it as a fraction. So it would be 6 over 4x plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. So then you can simplify this to divide by 2 over 2, and it'd be 3 over 2 plus 2x.